Let's talk about it now with two on different sides of the issue. Joining us, Stratton Pollitzer, Deputy Director of Equality Florida, and Peter Sprigg, Senior Fellow for Policy Studies at the Family Research Center. To you both, thanks very much for your time and welcome to America's Forum.
Thank you.
Peter, good to have you both. Peter, the first question, the Supreme Court declined to hear any of these cases. Was it simply judicial restraint?
I wish it was judicial restraint. I think it's judicial politicking instead. And the only thing, I mean, anyone who thinks they know what the Supreme Court is thinking is wrong. I think that's the one thing we learned from yesterday, because this caught virtually everyone by surprise. But it seems like they are trying to let facts on the ground develop that might result in greater acceptance of same-sex marriage before they issue a ruling. I think it's good that they may have learned the lesson of Roe versus Wade, that it's a mistake for the Supreme Court to step in and decide a controversial social issue. But I think it was cowardly for them not to take a stance when the issues are constitutional issues are clearly defined now.
Stratton, your take on the non-decision from the Supreme Court?
Well, of course, anytime that 52 million Americans in 11 more states are going to have access to marriage equality, we see that as an enormous victory. And, you know, I grew up in a little town in South Carolina, and I have to tell you, I called my mom yesterday at 9:30 in the morning to celebrate with her that South Carolina is now on that list. So we are incredibly excited. And now the tables have turned. You know, we're going to stop counting how many states have marriage, and from here on out, we're going to be counting how many don't. And unfortunately, Florida remains on that list of shame, that we're going to see how far down that list we're going to fall before we have marriage here in Florida. We don't want to be last, and I think that's the message to every state out there that has not gotten right on one of the civil rights issues of the day.
Peter, you heard from Stratton there, and you yourself said that the tables were turning. This was changing. Does the non-decision by the Supreme Court, Peter, result in a de facto acceptance of gay marriage nationwide?
Oh, by no means. I think what it guarantees is that this debate, which some people were predicting would be over within a year's time, is going to continue. And those who believe in natural marriage between one man and one woman will continue to contest this issue in the areas of the country where a final decision has not been reached. I think we will have more positive rulings for one man, one woman marriage laws, such as the one we had in Louisiana. And this debate will continue both in the courts and in the court of public opinion.
Stratton, you touched on Florida. Obviously, you're working for the organization known as Equality Florida. 30 seconds for you on this. Where do things stand now as far as Florida is concerned, in your opinion?
Well, in Florida, we've had 5 judges now rule in favor of marriage equality, you know, consistent with what we're seeing across the country, where court after court after court, Republican appointees, Democratic appointees, almost unanimously in agreement that these bans on marriage are unconstitutional. Where we stand is we're now waiting on our governor and our attorney general to drop their hopeless appeals and allow folks to start getting married right now in Florida. And the Supreme Court need to hear an appeal to a lower court decision striking these bans as unconstitutional. They had 7 different cases they could have looked at, and they said, no, we're going to accept the rulings of those lower courts, and we think Florida needs to do the same thing and do it now. People are hurting, and we need to be able to get married as soon as possible.
Got to stop you right there, but we want to continue the discussion. We'll get Peter's take on it as we continue with Peter and Stratton here on America's Forum.